Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gate of Heaven video diary, where we are exploring the story of the Bab, who is the inspiration behind my upcoming album Gate of Heaven, and whose life is being celebrated this year, which marks the 200th anniversary of his birth. And so before we dive back into our big adventure through the Dawnbreakers, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you for listening to Promised One and for sharing it with your friends. I'm really so delighted by your response to the song, and I hope you continue to enjoy it for a long time to come. But especially I hope that the song brings you some spiritual nourishment as we embark on this very special period of fasting, which I think is really all about spiritually nourishing ourselves and each other. So for those of you who are fasting, I wish you a very nourishing fast. So in the last video, we had reached this very climactic moment in the Dawnbreakers where Mullah Hussein, the young student of the Shaykhi school, the school of the Promised One, had travelled to Shiraz, and he had found the Bab, he had found the Promised One. And that night, that fateful night of May 23rd, 1844, really now represents the very beginning moment of a new chapter in the spiritual history of the world, the declaration of the Bab. And on that night, that same night, as Mullah Hussein was preparing to leave the Bab's home, the Bab told Mullah Hussein to go out into Shiraz and to go about his business and to tell nobody that he had found him. He says to him, "It is incumbent upon you not to divulge either to your companions or to any other soul that which you have seen and heard. 18 souls must in the beginning spontaneously and of their own accord accept me and recognize the truth of my revelation. Unwarned and uninvited, each of these must seek independently to find me." And so Mullah Hussein goes out into Shiraz and he goes about his business. He studies, he does a bit of teaching, and he tells nobody about this extraordinary, life-changing discovery that he has made. But he continues to visit the Bab night after night, and on one of these visits, the Bab says to him, "Tomorrow, 13 of your companions are going to arrive, and each of these will independently find me." And sure enough, the next day, one of Mullah Hussein's closest friends, Mullah Ali, who is a fellow student from the Shaykhi school, arrives in Shiraz along with 12 other fellow students from the school who have come to Shiraz really following the example of Mullah Hussein and quite literally following in his footsteps in their own search for the Promised One. And Mullah Ali is very surprised to find Mullah Hussein in this state of serenity and peace, which contrasts so sharply with all of the intense feelings of agitation and urgency that were emanating from Mullah Hussein just a few weeks previously. And there's a conversation that goes on between the two of them where Mullah Ali is questioning Mullah Hussein as to the cause of his composure. And Mullah Hussein doesn't want to lie to his friend, but he also doesn't want to betray the instructions of the Bab. And so he says to Mullah Ali, he says to him, "You know that I have devoted every atom of my being, I have dedicated myself, heart and soul, to my search for the Promised One. And now you see me in this state of peace and composure. Do you not think it's possible that perhaps I have found what I was looking for?" And Mullah Ali begs Mullah Hussein to tell him who it is, but Mullah Hussein refuses, and he tells Mullah Ali that he has to find the Promised One through his own independent personal search. And he advises his friend to go away and to look deep down within himself and to ask for guidance. And so Mullah Ali retires to his room and he immerses himself in prayer and meditation. And after 3 days of this, he has a vision in which he sees this light moving before him and leading him through the streets of Shiraz. And he follows this light and it reveals to him the face of the Promised One. And he wakes from this vision, and he knows who it is. So he runs to Mullah Hussein and throws his arms around him. And Mullah Hussein is overjoyed because, of course, he understands that his friend, through the power of his own contemplation and insight, has recognized the Bab. And so Mullah Hussein brings him to introduce him to the Bab. And Mullah Ali then has a very similar experience of witnessing the Bab spontaneously reveal these beautiful poetic verses which just penetrate his heart and bring about a transformation in his life, just as they had brought about a transformation in the life of Mullah Hussein. And so over the following weeks, each of the other 12 students who have come with Mullah Ali to Shiraz, through experiences of dreams, visions, contemplation, their own intuition, each of them independently find and recognize the Bab. Also, Mullah Hussein's brother and nephew, who had initially accompanied him to Shiraz, and you might remember that they left him alone that night they arrived. They left him alone at the gate of Shiraz. They also find and recognize the Bab. And eventually there are 17 individuals who, through their own efforts, have found the Bab, and these become his first chosen disciples. And he calls them the Letters of the Living. And among all of the Letters of the Living, there is only one woman whose name is Tahereh. And Tahereh, actually later on in the story, really comes to the very forefront of the Dawnbreakers, and really she becomes one of the most foremost disciples of the Bab. And she was this extraordinary poetess and scholar who was universally feared by her contemporaries, as she was this extremely eloquent and really fierce participant in the philosophical debates of Persian society. And she actually goes on to leave a legacy that leads to her renown, not only as one of the foremost disciples of the Bab, but also in the eyes of wider Iranian society. She really becomes nationally beloved as one of the greatest literary and scholarly minds that the Iranian people have ever produced. And Tahereh she was the only Letter of the Living who never actually met the Bab. And hopefully we can learn more about Tahereh a bit later on. But the way that Tahereh found the Bab is very interesting. So one of the first things that the Bab did as he was gathering together these Letters of the Living was that he almost immediately sent Mullah Ali out on the very first mission to start spreading his message. So he sends Mullah Ali on a journey to Iraq with a copy of his commentary on the Surah of Joseph, the very book that he revealed on the night of his declaration for Mullah Hussein. And that is actually the book that the opening words of Promised One, they come from that book. And so Mullah Ali, the moment that he steps out of Shiraz, he is immediately attacked, and he's attacked again and again, but he makes his way to Iraq and he starts spreading the writings of the Bab around Iraq. And it's unclear as to what happened to Mullah Ali. There seems to be a gap in the records. I don't know if any of you have any information about what happened to him. If you do, through your own research, maybe you could share it in the comments or something. But it's assumed that Mullah Ali was continually attacked and was eventually murdered somewhere in Iraq. But at that time, Tahereh was also in Iraq, because she was also a student of the Shaykhi school. And Tahereh had a dream in which she had seen this young Persian man wearing a green headdress who was reciting these poetic verses of the most exquisite beauty. And Tahereh was so transported by these verses that the moment she woke up, she wrote them down, and she never forgot these words. Now, it's possible, and I'm only speculating here, I don't know if there's any way to confirm this, but it's possible that through the efforts of Mullah Ali bringing the Bab's writings to Iraq, it's possible that some of those writings reached Tahirih, because the moment that she read the Bab's commentary on the Surah of Joseph, she recognized those words as the very words she had heard in her dream. And that's how Tahirih became a letter of the living. So at this stage, including Tahirih, there are now 17 individuals who have found the Bab. And one night, in a conversation with Mullah Hussein, the Bab says to him, "Tomorrow night, the remaining letter will arrive and complete the number of my chosen disciples." And so in the next video, we're going to look at the story of the final 18th letter of the living. So in the meantime, thank you again for watching. Thank you for listening to Promised One. I hope you continue to enjoy it, especially during this period of fasting. And I'd be so grateful if you could do 3 things. If you give this video a like, more people will see it. Share it with your friends, and please invite people to come to the Gate of Heaven Facebook event, where I'll be posting more videos like this. And also, if you would like to support my music and videos, you can become a patron at patreon.com/lukeslot. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.